Monkees Matter, Teenagers, Television, and American Pop Culture, and she's the co-editor of Women in American History, a social, political, and cultural encyclopedia, among others. I'll let you go.
Thank you. Okay, so this was written because when I was 6, I married Mickey Dolenz in my basement, and I kind of wanted to meet him, so I thought, and I interviewed many of the writers who worked on that television show in the 1960s, and this is what I came up with, which eventually became a book as well. It's called Hey Hey, They Wrote the Monkees. The Monkees was a groundbreaking and contradictory piece of television, provided to a society in flux. The actors' long hair set them apart from the older adults of their day, yet they brought the vaudeville antics of the Marx Brothers back to the life on the small screen. The Monkees' characters inhabited a fantasy Los Angeles, where 4 members of a struggling rock band lived in a Malibu beach house they endearingly could never have afforded, and they're shown via smash cuts and frenetic montages in locations such as Griffith Park and Paradise Cove. The program won an Emmy for Outstanding Comedy in 1967 and was a marketing machine for recordings that outsold the Beatles and the Rolling Stones in 1968. The public relations engine that kicked off from this concentrated on the actors, Davy Jones, Mickey Dolenz, Peter Tork, and Mike Nesmith, and their improvisational spontaneity, creating a myth that a majority of the mayhem was made up on the set. But interviews with the principals and comparisons between their final scripts and their episodes that aired, so that the writers introduced much of that frivolity on the page. Showrunner Gerald Gardner agreed that it took a true collaboration between writers, directors, actors, and editors to concoct the crazy madcap world of the Monkees. To develop the stories, Gardner turned to the classics. Many of the most successful ideas are rejiggering existing ones. Things like Charlie's Aunt, Romeo and Juliet, and A Tale of Two Cities. Then, he said, we tried always to create an unpleasant authority figure to give the boys a funny way to clash with authority, and to attract a good-named guest star. Evans, who joined the writing staff after writing greeting cards and working on a pilot with Jay Ward of Bullwinkle fame, remembered being given 24-hour access to a screening room for a week to watch all the old Marx Brothers films. At the end of the week, he was told, now go write some of that. Few of the writers considered themselves connected to the emerging counterculture. I was too busy trying to make a living, pay the kids' tuition and their orthodontia, said Gardner. He was 10 years older than the actors, and he'd come to the show after working as a speechwriter and humor consultant on Robert Kennedy's successful New York State run. To illustrate his lack of counterculture cachet, Gardner tells of going to the set one day when they were filming a party at the Monkees pad. I wanted to call the customer because none of the party guests was wearing a dinner jacket. I was told, very politely, that's not how kids dress for parties anymore. So I let it go. Brittany Ornstein, who wrote 3 episodes, said, my wife accuses me of missing the 60s entirely, and I'm afraid she's right. When I worked on the Monkees, I was 35 years old, and my regular job was as a writer for the Hollywood Palace, a show much more known for Sinatra and Crosby appearances than rock and roll music. Finally, writer Peter Meyerson became very friendly with the actors, hanging out at their parties in their Laurel Canyon homes. His scripts are the ones that are studded with sly lines that sound like ad-libs, but are played to the camera and comment on real-world controversies. In one of his episodes, Monkey Mother, the Monkees are seen playing dominoes. When all the dominoes fall, Peter asks, what do you call this game? And Mickey answers, Southeast Asia. A particularly sharp comment considering both Dolenz and Jones had received draft notices to the war in Southeast Asia in that first season. Trifa Silverman, one of the first female writers to work solo on a television comedy, partly accounted for the strong female voice on a show about former band members. It's noticeable that the various young women the Monkees characters fall in love with are almost all burgeoning feminists, defined by their interest in academia, their working for wages, and the fact that they are active, not passive, in the various storylines in which they appear. Most of the, though still bikini-clad female characters, were self-motivated, mature, and responsible. Many held non-gendered careers, such as Russian spy, biker, and rock musician. Most of the writers felt that the studio and the network executives had no idea what the political and counterculture references all meant. According to Silverman, they didn't get the jokes, even though, as she says, they were all wearing love beads. While they could accessorize the accessories, they never got the point. But the fans did, and still do, thanks to the work of the real unsung heroes of Hollywood, the humble television writers.